Good news, my fellow YouTubers and my subscribers. Today I'm doing another how-to video. I'm doing how to remove a starter on a 2011 Hyundai Sonata. It is a base model, and I believe, let's see what engine size it is. It's a 2.4 liter, 4-cylinder. The bad news is that you guys don't get to really watch me take everything apart in the process of how to get to the starter. Now, if you look all the way down there, you could probably take the skid plate off, and you could probably take snake the starter out from underneath the intake, which could be possible, but I did it this way. First couple things you really have to do is you have to take the battery apart. You have to take the terminals off so you don't spark anything while you're taking the starter off. Number two is there's a bunch of 12 millimeter nuts and bolts that you have to take off at the top of the starter. Let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 2 nuts and 3 12 millimeter bolts that hold it in. Now at the bottom there is a bracket right here, this thing. There's 4 bolts you have to take off. You don't really have to take them off. The 2 at the very bottom, where my fingers are, you can just loosen so this wiggles. But there's 2 at the bottom of the intake that are, let's see, right there. They go with that hole at the bottom. Now the other thing that you could do is you could take all the intake tubing off, which is right all down there, and it gives you a little bit more room. The starter bolts are 2 14 millimeters that are held in right there and down there. There's a 12 millimeter that holds the power cable on, and then there's a connector that you have to take off. I took the throttle body off, which are 4 10 millimeters, and there's a couple connectors that you might want to move out of the way while you're doing all this stuff too, that way you don't break them. I took the throttle body cable off, even though I didn't have to. I took another connector off. Now mind you, when you're putting all this stuff back together, make sure you plug everything back into the right spot, but make sure you also plug everything in. Make sure you put this little piece back that goes over the fuel rail. The thing that if you're doing this by yourself, are going to have a major pain in the ass of, if you do it this way, if you take the intake off, which I believe is probably the only way to do it, there's a couple hoses that you're going to have issues with getting off. That is one of the reasons why I didn't show you taking it apart, because they were a pain in the ass and would have took up most of the video. So hopefully this video will help some people while they're doing this car. If not, let me know. Also, you might want to take the dipstick out. That is in the way too. And you really don't have to move the intake too far over. You just, once you pop everything off, you just move it off to the side, you're able to get to the starter. And then when you take everything all apart, you just put it back in the same way that you took it together. Also, make sure you take these things off. The cable ties, they just sit on top of these across. And then there's some 10 millimeter bolts on the intake too that hold the wiring down. I don't think I'm missing anything else. Hopefully this helps. Till next time, deuces.